Hey you guys, it's Pamela Sanders with Congressional Bank, and I'm here with my good friends.
Brad Harper with Century 21 Sheets.
Mark Bayless with MAB Motorsports.
Well guys, I'm so excited. This is the first video that we're doing in the I've Got a Guy series. Pamela and I were talking about this, and we've had, over the years, a million people come to us and say, hey, do you have a guy that does this? Do you have a guy that does that? Do you have a girl that does this? Do you have a girl that does that? And so I think this is going to be a great thing that we're going to put together. We're going to try to do it every Thursday at 1 o'clock, just bringing people that we really think will have some value. So today, I'm bringing in my good friend Mark Bayless. Mark is the owner of MAB Motorsports, as he said, and I don't know about you guys, but yesterday morning I came outside, and once again, my car was covered in ice.
Frozen.
And also, as I was talking to my wife, as she was at a doctor's appointment, she backed into a car in the ice. So there's no better time than that's number two in less than 2 months. So in case you guys were wondering, so Mark and I are very good friends because of this.
Yeah.
I'm one of his best customers. So Mark, I guess we ought to just start off with, what are the biggest things that you're seeing right now, the biggest problems that people are coming to you with?
Well, mostly it's just flat out collision work. A lot of people running into each other, backing into people, sliding off roads. That's the largest amount of cars that are coming in right now. But there's a variety of things that are going to fail, especially this time of the year because of how cold it is. Now we have Indiana roads, which are going to not only beat the hell out of your car, it's going to be dangerous just to drive it. So there's so many things about maintenance that you should be paying attention to on your car, because at the end it's all going to cost you more money when you ignore damages that you might have on your vehicle right now.
Okay.
So those are the biggest ones.
What are the like when you talk about maintenance? Like I know a couple months ago I had to replace my battery.
Yes.
Of course, as soon as it got cold, it stopped working. So.
Yeah. Well, people always think that everything in their car is going to work, function properly and perfect when it's 0 degrees outside. And let's face it, cars were not designed to work in those kind of conditions. So anything that you have that was close to failing is going to fail when it's at that. So batteries are always going to first one to go. One of the biggest ones that most people always forget also is your coolant, what type of coolant you have in your car. A lot of time people don't worry about it. They might add a little bit of water. They might use coolant that's not actually designed for your vehicle. When it gets extremely cold, that coolant's not functioning properly. So your car can overheat, or your coolant can actually freeze when you don't have the right mixture in it. So those are always very important to have. One of the other things that I think is important that most people forget are your tires. Your tires in extreme weather are very important. So those times when you go to the tire store and they're like, you don't have any tread left, and you're looking at your tires and you still see tread on it, that doesn't mean that you have tread left on your tires.
Are we supposed to have a certain amount of tread on our tires?
you have tread height, so that's a very important part. So it usually, if you take a penny and you put a penny in your tread,
Lincoln's head, right?
Lincoln's
upside
head,
down, right?
yeah, upside down. So
the other way
around doesn't help.
Like, no.
But tread isn't very important. So, and then of course now, for traction, not only traction, if you're driving over roads that have, like we said a minute ago, where you could hide a small child in one of the potholes, it's probably pretty important that you have tread on those tires so you can run over not the small child, but make it through the pothole.
Right.
So those are a lot of the items that I think that, my 3 items that popped in my head, and one of the items that we deal with the most is always the coolant system.
So when you talk about the coolant, what you just go to AutoZone and buy 50/50, or
not anymore, because most cars are very specific in what coolant they take. So Dodge and Chrysler is going to have a specific one. BMWs, Europeans are going to have a specific one. Each one of those have a different boiling point. So each one of those cars operate at a different temperature. So those coolant are very specific to what should be in that vehicle. If you don't have the right one in it, you're not doing good by your car. And a lot of people just throw whatever in it, and in the long run, all you're going to do is damage your car.
Okay.
And especially when you're at very extreme heat or very cold temperatures, those things have to function the way that they should.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
Makes sense for sure.
Yeah,
I didn't even think that through.
Nobody
at all.
Well, I'm forced to have to think it through because I have to try to explain it. My biggest job in my shop is I have mechanics who are very smart and know everything, and I have to be the go-between between you and mechanic and break it down into terms that you can understand, because nobody understands what a mechanic is talking about.
Right, exactly.
It's hard enough for me to look at it. So
what are some what are some? You mentioned batteries, you mentioned coolant, and then the tire tread. So these dreaded potholes right now. What is your advice for navigating potholes?
Stay off of this. Okay,
that's a
keep
big
your
one, right?
phone down. I mean, I spend most of my day driving around looking at other people. My life is cars and fixing them. So everybody driving not paying attention to the road is going to be a potential customer to me. I hate saying it, but that's just the way it is. So this time of the year, you should be on your phone anyway. I mean, I'm bad at it also, but pay attention. Put your phone down. Look for potholes. You're not going to see them. And if you hit one going 30, 40 miles an hour, you're done. I mean, you're going to talk thousands of dollars worth of damage. And
that's
you're either
axle related now, right?
well, you're gonna have suspension. You're gonna have suspension. You're gonna have drivetrain. It's a slew of things that you can damage your vehicle with, and all those things are gonna cost. They're not cheap. If anybody has newer vehicles, you're talking $1,000 in repair. If you can't afford to pay it, you're gonna pay insurance. I mean, you're gonna make a claim on it. So again, put your phone down. Pay attention to the roads. Indiana does have a system though. If you hit a pothole, you can't file a claim on it. But 99% of the time, the only way you're going to get paid on that is if somebody else had a claim on that same spot, and then they have 30 days to fix that.
Right. Yeah.
Something around that.
Yeah. There's the city of Indianapolis has, you go to the mayor's action page. And then you can put a and I actually do it all the time on my little street between 59 or Kessler and 59 for 56 because I want to make sure that those potholes get filled.
Keystone Avenue is the worst.
Oh, it's so bad.
If you go on northbound in the third lane, if any of you drive northbound in the third lane, you're crazy.
Okay?
It's
so
like
bad
a road
there.
through Benghazi or something. Right? It's just deep. It's just horrible. So
it's pretty bad. It is pretty bad. What about windshield wipers?
That's a very cheap and an easy thing to have that functions properly. Obviously, I get in a lot of people's cars all the time, and it's amazing to me. I'll turn on the windshield wiper blades, and it's like, and I'm like, a windshield wiper blade is literally like, depending on what kind of car, anywhere from like $10 to, there are blades that are up to $80, but most are $10, $15. And again, if you can't see out your window, which most people don't care anyway because they're looking at their phone, but those are important things that you should have. Windshield wipers are very cheap. Any auto store or like Advance, O'Reilly's, AutoZone, if you buy them, they'll put them on for you.
Sure.
So again, little cheap things.
I saw during the storm, the parking lot, a lot of people put their windshield wipers out straight up. Well, and I was like, what's
easiest way is if your car freezes at nighttime and your windshield wipers are down and you try to pull your windshield wiper blades off, the blade stays on the window and the arm comes off. So that's the easiest thing to do. That's actually a really good tip is when it's freezing outside and it's going to rain or even when it's going to snow, lift your windshield wiper blades off the vehicle, off the windshield. It's not going to hurt anything. Just make sure you close them back before you start driving. Because you do have to have them on the window for them.
So what if you forget? What's the tip? If you forget to pull the windshield wipers, right?
You're just going to need to warm the car up.
Right.
You just warm the car up and use an ice scraper. Like you showed in the prelim video.
Gotcha.
We live in Indiana, folks. It's cold. We have crappy weather. You're going to get it. You should have those things. The other thing that you always should have in every vehicle is you should have a blanket. You should have a flashlight. You should have other safety items inside of that vehicle because the day you break down, you don't have any of that stuff is the day you're going to really wish that you needed it. Even if you're on the side of a road and you think you're within town, it's 0 degrees outside and you break down and you got to think everybody else is breaking down also. So it's going to be a while before maybe your friends and family can get to you or even a tow truck can get to you. So again, prepare yourself, do those things that you should, and you should be all right.
Yeah, one of the things that my grandma always told me, is make sure in the winter weather that you have at least a half a tank of gas.
She probably said some whiskey too.
Well, yeah, of course.
I keep that in my car just in case. Because it'll thaw a window. And plus, if you break down, you got something to do for 15, 20 minutes to feel good about it. That's my whole point. So just don't drive after that. You're broken down. You got a free ride behind a tow truck.
Exactly.
Right.
So
cool. Well, I want to say if you're watching right now and you have any questions, send those to us and we'll try to get to them here in a minute. I have a couple more things for Mark. You mentioned back to the windshield wipers thing. One thing that I see people doing all the time is using their windshield wipers as ice scrapers.
Guilty.
That's a good thing.
Guilty.
So again, that's what
to remove the snow for us.
Again, a windshield wiper blade wasn't designed to move snow and ice. It's designed to move water. So, I mean, again, it's just, after spending as much, last 7 years around cars every single day, and, thousands of cars that we've fixed, not only mechanically, but collision, you start to get such a much better appreciation to what vehicles are supposed to do and how you're supposed to maintenance them and why things break. So it's common sense to me now, but to everybody else, that you think that everything's supposed to work and be there forever and not break and fail. Well, unfortunately, they didn't design them that way. So that's the worst thing to do. So.
Makes sense.
So as we get to the end of, well, we're in the middle of winter, but
it just started.
And coming into spring, what are the things that people, what are the things that they can think of for spring that they need to take care of?
What's crazy is springtime is almost the same. Winter, we go through so much change here. So wintertime, we have extreme cold. Springtime, it gets beautiful. We all enjoy it. So those should be the time that honestly you should go back through and check your car, make sure you didn't have any damage through the winter months. Always take it into a shop and have them go through the suspension, all that stuff. Make sure you didn't damage anything through the winter time. In the springtime, it's nice, but it's getting ready to be summer, which summer, again, we're going to have extreme heat. So those same things come into play. Battery, again, coolant is always very impressive. That's why those two things always stick in my mind. Those are the two things that always come in the most in our shop.
So how do you check the battery if it's not working?
Any battery.
Or if it's working, or you think it's working.
Well, two items that you should have on a battery. You should have when a cold start, when it's not on at all. You should have at least 12 volts or higher. Most cars want 12.4 volts or higher. Okay. Meaning when it's just sitting doing nothing. Okay. Once the car gets started, you have an alternator, which is going to kick up the power, which should get you above 14 volts on that, or even higher. But any hardware store, auto store, again, will check that. They can actually put a tool on and a meter, and they can tell you, okay, your battery's good, your battery's bad. Batteries should last at least 5 years. If you get any more out of 5 years out of your battery, you're doing extremely good. Okay. Some of the newer ones in new cars can go up to 8 years. But again, if you're 5 years or more on your battery and you haven't changed it, and you're going through driving with extreme heats and extreme cold, and you haven't checked it, it's a ticking time bomb. At some point, it's gonna be dead, and you're gonna call somebody, you're gonna be stranded, and you're gonna end up in my shop, which is a good thing for me. But again, I love to see you, and I love to take your money, but I'll try to help you not have to come.
So, speaking of your shop, MAB Motorsports, you guys are located on Keystone Avenue, just north of Fall Creek. Down in the
South Broad Ripple.
That is so not South Broad Ripple.
It is so, bro. Folks, you heard it here first. It's South Broad Ripple. It will be in the next 5 years. Let's face it. All right. 52nd Street was not Broad Ripple a few years back. It is now Broad Ripple.
Yeah.
You heard it here first.
Okay. Right here. So what are the things, I know you guys work on all kinds of cars, but what are I know you do some specialization also. You guys have customizing Jeeps, especially,
Jeeps, trucks. Obviously I've been into Jeeps now for the past 3 years, a little bit too much. Probably spent a little bit too much on my own personal Jeep, but the reason why I did it is I did it as a billboard. I love fast cars, but I have kids, so I can't go fast. So a Jeep was the next best thing. And Jeeps and off-roading, as you've done it, it's probably one of the only ones you can take the entire family, load them up in the car, and say, let's go do some off-roading. Now, you can't go crazy in it, but you can go. Jeeps, we're getting to doing trucks, lifts, rims and tires, and of course anything paint and body-wise, because we're a full collision shop. When I started the company close to a little 6 years ago, I thought it was silly that a shop couldn't do everything. Right. It just didn't make sense to me. So my goal was to own a repair facility where I didn't say no. Right. It was, if you have a problem with your vehicle, I want it to come here and I want to be able to fix it, put it back on the road and do it right. And then if something happens, the worst extreme where we have a collision, I want you to come back. Right. So those were the things we did. But collision and customizing, I have to say, are probably the two biggest things that we specialize in the most. Sure. And then heavy mechanical, engine, transmissions, things like that. And we take pride. I take pride. I get emotionally attached with vehicles and with customers. Again, most of my customers are my friends, and that's how we built it. So I try to treat every single customer like they're a close friend.
Sure.
And I think that's why we've succeeded. My employees all feel the same way. So fixing cars isn't easy. I mean, I'll say that. It is not an easy task. You know, every car is different. There's thousands of different cars on the road, and we have to know everything about every single one of them. So it is a big task, but we've been up to it. So
your Jeep, one of the things I thought was really cool that you did was the paint job on it. Tell everybody a little bit about that.
Well, it's a custom paint job we started doing 3 years ago. It's it was bed liner, and it started out west where they just started spraying bed liner on the Jeeps. And then it's involved into where you have Line-X, which is one of the bigger ones where you can do any color. Well, we have kind of our own brand that we've came up with, a product that we've been using for 3 years now, and it actually has a Kevlar mix in it. It's tintable to pretty much any color that you want to make it, so I don't care what color you pick, I can make it, and it's pretty much indestructible. So, you know, you can beat it with a hammer, you can take your keys at it, you can try to do anything you can, it won't scratch.
So if you have a crazy ex-girlfriend, this might be the paint job for you?
It could.
Or maybe you're not the best driver in the world.
I'm trying to think of a few guys that we could mention that could probably be okay with that paint job. But luckily I don't have to worry about that anymore.
Right,
so,
exactly.
But, you know,
Me either.
Yeah, good thing, right? Done so well.
I know.
But no, it is, you know, especially if you're going to go off-roading and you're going to use your truck, or even if you, I mean, they do it on cars now also. It's really durable. It's easy to take care of. When you wash it, you really don't have to dry it off. And it doesn't dull. I mean, we have one that's a petroleum-based and one that is basically a more chemical-based, I have to say. But, I mean, you can put tire shine on it. Mine is the older, and it can shine, or you can leave it dull.
Or you can even put motor oil on it, right?
Well, you could, but it wouldn't look as cool. We use tire shine, and it makes it shine a little bit. So
I'm going to take a look here real quick and see if we've got any questions.
I don't think anybody cares. I think there's no.
Yeah, I got a couple of.
Got a few.
Zach Williams, thanks for chiming in. He says Mark is giving him a quote for damage.
Nice.
And so we're excited about that. No questions though.
Yeah.
One last thing before we go, just once again, tell us where your shop's located. And
4481 North Keystone Avenue, MAB Motorsports. Open.
not South Broad Ripple. I don't care what Mark says.
South Sobro, you heard it here first. But we're open usually every day, Monday through Friday, 9 till about 5:30, 6 o'clock, and then Saturdays if we're really need us. So.
Okay.
Awesome.
All right. Well,
and thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah.
I get to be the first.
Yes, Mark.
I got a
Mark
guy.
helped us. Yeah, we've got a guy, Mark Bayless, MAB Motorsports. Hey guys, thanks a lot. Next time you tune in, we will be with HomeSense Heating and Cooling. A little more on the home front of things, and they'll be talking about their best tips for taking care of your furnace, your HVAC system during this time of year. So thank you again for tuning in. Really excited about this, and we'll see you guys not next week because I'll be in sunny Mexico, but the week following. So, all right, perfect. Hey,
thanks guys for joining us.